Today I messed up by fixing my girlfriend's hairdryer. To start this, I'm just dumb and nothing caught fire. So the background is my girlfriend lost her bio mother when she was a little girl. She treasures all items that were her bio mom's as they hold understandably sentimental value. Over the weekend I was at her place, she was getting ready and her hairdryer made an awful racket. She gave a long curse and threw it in the trash while saying it was her mom's. She said fuck it, I'm hungry, and while she wasn't looking I stole it out of the trash and threw it in my backpack. I just spent the last 4 hours cleaning it, replacing the rheostat and fishing the piece of plastic out of the heating coil, while trying not to damage those tiny wires, then testing it. I told her what I had done in anticipation of reuniting her with one of the few things left to her from her bio mom. She cried but in the laughing way and explained it was her stepmom's and there was no sentimental value. To anyone who cares, it's a powder blue Revlon from the 90s and goddamn did they build things better back then. Today I messed up by walking in on a stranger taking a shower in our basement. Okay, so I live in the same house as my parents. They live on the second floor, me and my GF live downstairs. We got separate households and basically just share the basement where we have the washing machine and dad's newly installed home spa. It's a sauna and a shower in the same room as the washing machine, nothing fancy. So, I got some laundry to do and I go down to the basement, load up the washing machine, start it. Go back up, browse Reddit for a while. After an hour or so I go down to take care of the laundry. Machine is still running. Damn, and I noticed that the shower is also running. Weird. So naturally I think it must be something wrong with the plumbing, so I go to check it out. I was just about to remove the curtain as I realized there's actually someone there, taking a shower. It's only me and dad at home, so it must be him, which is weird since he got a shower upstairs and he must have seen that I'm doing laundry today. I see a silhouette and notice that it is not my father. It is a woman. Oh, mom must be home from work early, which is still weird, since why would she take a shower in the basement? I start to talk to her and say that I was just checking on the laundry. And this unknown woman gasps and pokes out her head. We're both shocked and I go into overly polite mode as a defense mechanism. I smile awkwardly and pretends that this is totally normal and tries to shake her hand. She politely declines my handshake. She tells me that she is our neighbor's new wife and their shower broke. So, my dad had, without informing me, promised our neighbor to use our shower in our basement, while the washing machine was running. At no point did neither my dad, our neighbor, nor his wife even consider to inform me about this, and that I would probably walk into my own basement since the washing machine was in fact running during this shower session. I'm just baffled by this. What were they thinking? I called out my dad on this and he throws a tantrum saying that he promises to never invite anyone again to shower again and that he was just trying to be a good neighbor. I said that everything in this arrangement was totally fine apart from not communicating it to me. Today I messed up by sexting my boss. Obligatory, this didn't happen today, but me and a co-worker were discussing embarrassing dumb accidents that would cause us to quit our jobs out of shame, and it brought up this old memory. Let me set the stage. It was 2011, Kesha was all the rage, and a new Muppet movie had just come out bringing Muppet Mania into the new millennium. I was 21 and on top of the world, having just started dating a beautiful, intelligent, funny woman as well as getting my first suit and tie big boy job. It was nothing crazy that would land me 6 figures starting, but enough that I was making some good money for my age. I even managed to get one of my good friends at the time a job there, so I had someone to hang with on break. Now you all know what it's like when you just start dating someone and it's the honeymoon phase. Your only two modes together are lovey-dovey or ravenously ripping each other's clothes off. This was amplified by this wonderful girl being an absolute filthy degenerate in the best way possible, which took me by surprise because she acted like a meek straight-A librarian when we met, but I quickly learned not to judge a book by its cover when she started talking about doing stuff I had never even heard of. When we were together we couldn't keep our hands off each other, and when we were apart there was tons of dirty texting back and forth. I'm sure, dear reader, by this point in my story you can see where I absolutely botched the landing so badly I had to change my name. Not quite that bad, but close. One night me and my special lady friend were sexting and making plans of all the stuff we would do to each other when the weekend came. At the time smartphones really weren't as prevalent as they were now, so I usually just got whatever was cheapest to save money. I didn't have my first cell phone till I was 18, so the concept of having a phone with social media and YouTube just felt silly. My current phone was a beaten-up hand-me-down BlackBerry my aunt had given me when she got a new one, which was the fanciest phone I had even gotten because it had a keyboard. Lol. I bring up the phone because it was instrumental in my downfall. This phone had seen better days and developed a few quirks, like occasionally the keys on the keyboard not working, or more frustratingly opening up random text conversations when you opened up your text app despite them not being the last person you spoke to, left it open on. I knew about this problem and normally I was very good about checking to make sure I was messaging the right person because I had some close calls in the past, having almost texted my parents' plans for a woods party. This night was different, however. This night I was stuck in 21-year-old boy so overfull of hormones he was on a different plane of existence and the head on my shoulders wasn't the one doing the thinking. Every time girlfriend's text preview came up I would click it as fast as possible and shoot off another filthy message. Eventually I saw a preview and quickly opened up my text app, writing out one of the most filthy and depraved sext messages I ever had and clicked send. It wasn't until the second my finger touched the send button that I saw the contact name was female/30s/manager. I tried to stop but it was too late. My finger already pressed down and no amount of hammering the cancel button would do anything. This was fairly late in the evening, so she was likely asleep, and I sat there mortified, feeling like I would never get aroused by anything ever again, dreading what would happen in the morning when she read my text right before we both went into the office. I texted my girlfriend, the right one this time, explaining what happened and that we had to stop sexy chatting because I no longer had it in me. I couldn't even to bring myself to tell her what I meant to send her when she asked. I paced my room for what felt like an eternity but was likely only 10 minutes, trying to figure out if I could salvage the situation or just jump off the nearest bridge. Eventually I opened my boss's text thread back up and texted lol sorry, meant to send that to my buddy, we were just joking around being gross. To this day I have no idea why I said it was a joke with one of my friends instead of an intimate text for my girlfriend. It made the text seem only more gross looking back. Another 5 minutes of anxiety later and I realized that text wouldn't cut it. I booted up my computer and all at once blocked her and every co-worker from my email as well as blocked them all on my phone. I shut off my alarms for the next morning, and never showed up at the job ever again. I never even called the office to ask about my last paycheck. Today I messed up by telling my best friend I love him after we had sex. My 20M best friend, 21M, became friends 7 years ago. We started experimenting with our bodies about 8 months ago and it quickly escalated to straight up just having sex. He has made it very clear that he just wants to stay as friends and that he just sees me as a friend who is also someone he's intimate with. Anyway. Not today, but on Saturday we did it at my place. Usually after he finishes we just lay in bed and maybe say something like that was great, but this time I just said oh, I love you so bad. He hasn't said anything to me, he just grabbed his things and left. He hasn't messaged me or anything, and he hasn't responded any of my calls or texts, and I feel awful. I really doubt he'll talk to me ever again because he probably suspects I have feelings for him, and he's a bit homophobic towards himself. So yeah, I just ruined a 7-year friendship. Today I messed up by trying to get closure over a childhood friend's end. I had a very close friend growing up. We were always together as kids, playing outside, having kid adventures and later on shared teenage years. One day, during high school, his family moved away and contact slowly faded, but we still exchanged calls, emails regularly. Sadly, a couple years later, I received news of his untimely death with no further details. Ever since then, I had wondered what could have happened to him. When alone with my thoughts I'd find myself wondering if he was sick or sad, basically how it could happen that I lose my friend so suddenly. His family never gave me an answer and I should have let it go. Years go by and yesterday, over 10 years later, I find myself thinking about him again. With the experience of my years I was able to dive into that rabbit hole and search much more precisely for teenager deaths this year in his area. Sadly, I found something I wish I didn't. Turns out he was involved in a horrid train accident as a pedestrian, and his body was dragged for miles along the track. The horror of that has been weighing on my mind since, and I can't get this out of my head. I feel so bad for pressuring his parents a few times to tell me what happened when they had to relive that horror and probably wanted to preserve me from it. Guess I have to log a session with my therapist to talk about it.